If you need to copy either text or values or a formula down a column, here's a shortcut you can't really do without, particularly if you work with formulas. In cell H2, let's actually create a formula for a person's new salary. Existing salaries in column F, and in cell J1 is a percent of increase that's going to be applied to everybody's salary here. So the initial formula, which could vary, could be something like this. Equal F2, click on it, type it, times J1. And looking ahead here, you can see that if this formula is going to be copied down column H, the F2 will become F3, F4, etc. That's appropriate. But J1 would turn into J2, J3. So we need to make this an absolute reference, and rather than typing the $, which is okay, the fastest way to do this is simply to hit the function key F4 to make that an absolute reference. And to complete the formula in this particular style of a formula, let's simply add on, or add to it, the original salary. So that's one of a few different ways we could write this formula. And a small tip here, if you are about to copy information down a column, rather than hitting enter and have the active cell move away from this location, simply press Control Enter and the active cell will not move from its location. Now, there are about 700 entries in this particular list, and copy-paste is not the way to go here. And if you've been working with formulas, you probably don't do that. But very often, you're likely to drag from that lower right-hand corner, it's called the fill handle, drag this down the column. And that's certainly not wrong, but think of how much time that's going to take if you've got not just 700 entries, but maybe 7,000, 70,000, or in Excel 2007, this could be as many as 1 million, slightly even over 1 million rows. So dragging could be, if you pardon the pun, a real drag. Instead, let's double-click the lower right-hand corner. Now, right away, the question would come into your mind, did it get copied all the way down to the bottom of the list, or how far did it get copied? Anytime you highlight a range of cells, either manually or by way of a formula, if you hit the Control Period sequence a few times, Control Period, this simply moves the active cell around the corners of the selected range. So in this case, it's simply moving from cell H2 down to H709. I'm just hitting Control Period here. And that's a good verifier, and if you know your data, you would know that there's nothing below that row in this particular set of data. That's Control Period. But the shortcut, of course, is the idea that by double-clicking, we copy whatever is in this cell, whether it's text, value, or formula, rapidly down the column, and it is dependent upon what is visible in the first column to the left. Now notice I use the word visible. Let me do an undo here. I'll use the undo button in the quick access toolbar. And now remove one of the job ratings. Let's act as if maybe it hadn't been completed yet. And there might be some other empty cells as well in column G. This time as I double click here, note that the information only gets copied to here. And if you knew that column G had multiple blank cells scattered throughout the list, this would be unfortunate and it would take you a long time to fill in the information if you were using the double click method. So if that were the case, let me do another undo here. If you knew that column G had a number of blanks in it, then you would hide column G, right click and hide. And the next time you try this, it will follow the first visible column to the left. And in this case, all the salaries have been completed. So by double clicking here and then hitting Control Period for that quick check, it too gets copied down to row 709 here. We're all set. That works properly. The other question might be, what happens if the column to the left is empty, that first visible column? So let me do a couple of undos and create that situation. This time on purpose, I'm going to insert a new column to the left of column H. That's empty. Double clicking here, nothing happens. But if there is information in the column to the right, and I'll just quickly throw in some information here, hit Control Enter. Now we'll try double clicking. Look what happens. When the column to the left is empty, at least in these cells, double clicking the lower right hand corner follows the first visible column to the right if there's data there, and then copies the information until it sees an empty cell there. So by using this particular shortcut, you can see how whether it's text or values, or in the cases we've seen formulas, it's a very efficient and fast way to copy information down a column without much effort.